Rick Rhodes from Fine Art Connoisseur. And today we're interviewing Stuart Denenberg of Denenberg Fine Art.
I would say, I suppose, quality. I will say this, I think it's very valuable to say in general that the continuum, the thread among all of the art forms, whether it's music or literature or the visual arts, and the thread that runs through all the visual arts can in a sense be said to be the same. It's this creative energy that makes manifest an organizing principle in who we are as animals. One thing we do that animals don't do is we organize the world philosophically, intellectually, and aesthetically. And some animals actually do organize themselves aesthetically. There are birds that build nests that are extremely wonderful, and they have to be a certain color and so on. Very interesting stuff. And we're not that different from that bird, you know. We have an innate, in the organism itself that we are, the species that we are, an innate tendency to organize reality around ourselves according to these intellectual, aesthetic, and rational dimensions, all of which combine in the visual arts for me in a very mysterious way. And so I can't say that we focus on quality, we focus on a kind of eclecticism. And if you look at the booth that we have here at the Fine Art Dealers Show, the Los Angeles Art Show, we have everything from abstract expressionism to Charles Hassam etching, an American Impressionist, Richard Prince, a contemporary painter who's just had a show at the Guggenheim, most interesting, a conceptualist, an appropriationist. And so one of the other things I say, and I knew I wouldn't have any problem talking to you, is that the wonderful curator, Kirk Varnado, who passed away so early, so tragically, in the Mellon lectures that he gave at the National Gallery, talked about the two strands of influence in contemporary art, and one of them is from Cézanne, one of them is from Duchamp. And he went like this, he says, and I'm a Cézanne guy. But he doesn't, and this is a point I like to make for people who are trying to understand art today, which is so complicated in a way, and complex in a way. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater if you don't like Duchamp, or if you don't like Cézanne. If you're not traditional and you don't understand paint on canvas, Duchamp, after all, said, art is no longer retinal. We don't look at art. It shouldn't be pleasant. It should be, he said worse things than that, too. In French, l'art c'est merde, said he. And, and today an awful lot of it is, but inadvertently. And yet the enterprise, the effort, the adventure that it is terribly meaningful to us because it's a kind of breaking new ground. Experimentalism is so critical to what we do. And it's like the space race, you know. We got fantastic medicine out of it. We got fantastic technology out of it. The internet itself is a fact. It's an artifact of the military, the ARPA, early web connectivity that the military needed. So we cannot say that one should not do anything. And I never, as I say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to looking at contemporary art and being judgmental. Don't be quite so ready to be judgmental. Sit back a little, look, think, listen, read. That's how one appreciates it, really, unless you have an intuitive sort of immediate sense for it. We are purposive beings, and one of the most wonderful things we do is we become deliberate, and we deliberate. It's no accident that our evolution as an animal, again, from the hominids and the late primates is entirely due, in a way, to the fact that we have what is called the opposable thumb. If you look at a gorilla's hand or a chimpanzee's hand, they can't do that. And it's no accident, and I'm getting to the point, that the notion to grasp an idea uses the same word as we use to grasp a tool. Because this more and more refined grasping that we were able to do as we evolved that opposable thumb enlarged our brains and enabled us, with the feedback loop that efficiency in the environment created, to control ideas. And the purpose of art is precisely to be a tool for the enlargement of the brain, if you will. It is an imaginative a vitamin. It's a vitamin for the imagination. It's what feeds the imagination. It says this green tree could be a blue tree. And if it is a blue tree, what does it mean? Well, it may not mean anything. But it does mean the fact that you conceived of that possibility, as Matisse conceived, as Wallace Stevens conceived of a red wheelbarrow, which meant everything. So I should say also that I can quote Joyce Treeman, this wonderful local artist we knew very well, who used to say that the precise meaning of art was that it had no purpose. In other words, it's like that interruption of a bus coming to a school where everybody's deliberately scribbling away their ABCs or whatever they're doing, and then suddenly there's an interrupt. And the interrupt says, okay, you're more than whatever X, Y, or Z you were doing. You're more than that. So art is a way of approaching the transcendent nature of our sensibility, of our perceptual apparatus. It's a way of refining our perceptual apparatus, knowing that you know, something gray is rather wonderful, as opposed to red, yellow, and green. Depends on where you're from. If you're from the tropics, red, yellow, and green is perfect, you know. It's an insight into mechanisms of all sorts, mechanisms of understanding through an understanding of relations between shape, color, the dynamic of drawn line, the strangeness of contemporary art is also wonderful because of the political opportunity it presents. Art has gone through so many changes. I mean, photography put the Impressionists on the scene because you couldn't get away with representation any longer, just so. The Impressionists put the Fauvists on the line, and the Cubists became important because they started to think in terms of what science had been telling them about the nature of the universe. So the Gestalt, the Weltanschauung, the whole, these wonderful German scientific words for the whole, are states of mind that we can approach through the particulars. So we start to become adept in particular areas of expertise, of understanding drawings, for example, and their continuum through time, from cave drawings all the way forward to Cy Twombly's scribbles on a canvas. And you begin to understand the subtlety of expression. That's another purpose for art, is to refine the subtlety of expression. I'm not the best person to talk to about how to introduce people who aren't already passionate about it. I think that our culture, our educational system, the fact that the administrations have so you know, truncated all of the support for the arts, and the school systems is where you have to begin. If you don't begin with children who are dazzled by playing with blocks that are inventive, or looking at colors, or scrawling with temper or finger paints. If you don't do that, and you don't give them instruments, and you don't give them the opportunity to hear. In fact, when I was in graduate school at the University of Massachusetts, in the Graduate School of Education, one of the projects I had in mind that didn't take place, and it's one of the reasons I left the Graduate School of Education, was I had the notion that it'd be marvelous. This was in 69, 70. It was the end of an era, the end of the 60s, and I thought, well, here's an idea. Let's get a bus and paint it in all kinds of fabulous colors and load it up with minstrels and jugglers and poets and troubadours and musicians, jugglers and dancers, you know, 30 people. And don't tell the kids they're coming. And then there'd be a loudspeaker on top of the bus, and the theme song was going to be Here Comes the Sun, the Beatles song. And the kids would then be told, in the middle of a class, you've got recess right now. And they'd spend the rest of the day with these artists. And that's what we need. We need a complete break from the quotidian, from the daily business of nose to the grindstone, the business of America's business. Well, crap, it isn't. Nor should it be. That's part of what we are, but it's so very much, too much a part of what we are in this country. We're so ridiculous in European eyes. They look at us and they think what children we are, what foolish children we are, and the wars we fight, and the attitudes, and the greed, and the ambition. It's all part and parcel of why so many people really are at a kindergarten level we have a Philistine country still, which did a wonderful thing and broke down tyrannies and left the European feudal, the mess that the European feudal system had created. And gosh, you know, we've got something great here. But let's really make it brilliant. Let's make it brilliant.